Hi everyone, Lara from Complete Test Success here, and today we're focusing on IELTS Speaking Part 1. So the way this works is I will share a link with you, and then some of you can come join me. I will ask you some Part 1 IELTS speaking questions, and I will give you some feedback. So basically, you'll get some insight into what the examiner is looking for and how the examiner will assess your writing. Also, you will have, for those of you who join, you'll have a better idea of what your weaknesses are. And of course, those are the things that you need to improve so that you can improve your scores. So that's basically what we're doing today. Hi, Mavis. Good to see you here. Hey, Gaurav. I'm doing good. Thank you. Good to see you too. So let me share this link. So we'll call it link to join me live. Link to join me live. Okay. So you'll see that link in the comments. So click on that. You'll be able to come in here and join me, and I will give you some feedback on your speaking. Besides that, if you have any questions about the IELTS speaking test, please feel free to ask me in the comments, and I will be able to answer those for you. Hi, Ratul. Welcome. Millicent, good to see you here again. Okay. That's basically what we're doing. The rest is on you guys. So ask what questions you have and come join me, and we will get started on the practice speaking. Hi, Maninder. Where are you from? I'm from Ireland. From Ireland, Maninder. Hi, Ragad. Good to see you here. While I'm waiting for someone to join, what I can do is share another link for my free live feedback lessons. So these are lessons that I have on Zoom every week, and I cover all parts of the IELTS test. So it's basically free lessons, free group classes on Zoom. So again, to join those, you can sign up here. But to join me today, you're looking for this link to join me live. I hope I'm not confusing you with all the links. And I have Mark with me here. So let's get started with Mark. Hi, Mark.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Have
How
you
about you?
been working hard since I last saw you?
Not really.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that.
I've been slacking.
Okay. Um, so can you just remind me what score you're looking for, Mark?
Bad night.
Needs band 9. I remember it being high.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're looking at part 1 today, Mark.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you some questions about gifts. When do
Mhm.
people give gifts or presents in your country?
Well, off the top of my head, people tend to give gifts on many occasions. Firstly, I think on birthdays, people tend to buy their friends or family members some special gifts like flowers, chocolate, and stuff like that. As well as that, on probably during some special festivals, like here in China, during the Spring Festival, we tend to give red envelopes to children or our relatives. So yeah, many occasions.
Um, do you ever take a gift when you visit someone in their home?
Yes, I do. In fact, just 2 months back, I visited my uncle and I just bought him a bar of chocolate because he's a big fan of chocolate. And that's what I normally do when I visit someone like a friend, my friends or my family members. It's a common thing. It's kind of like a custom.
When did you last receive a gift?
Um, it was just 2 months back on my birthday. My parents and my siblings all gave me a gift. My little brother actually gave me a Kindle. When I got it, I was overjoyed.
Um, and do you enjoy looking for gifts for other people?
No, not really. I mean, it's really tricky to think about what kind of gifts are suitable for your friends or family. I think people nowadays are really picky as well, so it's kind of challenging to select the right gifts. Normally, I just give them money. I give them a red envelope containing money. It's a lot easier. Mhm.
Thank you. Okay, Mark. So for fluency, you're doing great. No real issues there. And vocab, you've got a great range as well. A few small mistakes with grammar
Mhm.
definitely stop you from getting a band 9. There, like considering this is just a very small part of the test, you need a very high level of accuracy
Mhm.
for a band 9. Um, so not using conjunctions, and on 2 occasions you said 2 month, but obviously you need the plural for that, so it should be 2 months. You said I find it difficult to decide what I should bought instead of what I should buy, so tense
Mhm.
mistakes there as well. And then with then with pronunciation, there'll be two main things that I would tell you to focus on. Would be the th sound, so like birthday, you're saying burst, like a s instead of a, so you're
But
making an s instead of a th sound. It's pretty typical of Chinese learners. And
Mhm.
also when you're pronouncing what's known as a dark L, so it's like the L at the end of a word, you're
Mhm.
pronouncing it like a W instead of like an L, which is also quite typical of Chinese students. So when it should be Kindle, you're saying Kindle.
Kindle.
You're
Mhm.
making a W. You're making a Kindle instead of Kindle. So pretty
Mhm.
typical mistakes of Chinese learners. Your pronunciation is incredibly clear. So if you're aiming for a lower score, I would say fantastic. But considering you're aiming for a band 9, there just isn't any room for errors really. So those would be the things to pay attention to.
Mhm.
Do you have
Mhm.
any questions for me about any of that, Mark?
Um, I think that, yeah, I mean, band 9 is hard, yeah. So what score do you think uh I can get? I mean,
I mean, off a short section like that, it would be difficult to tell. I can tell you not a band 9,
hmm
so it's going to be somewhere up between a 7 or an 8. But obviously, there's a reason the IELTS test takes 15 minutes, is it
hmm
does take that long to figure out exactly what the score would be.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but for a band
I can
9,
tell people.
definitely improvement needed for a band 9. Yeah.
hmm hmm
All
Cool.
right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Nice to meet you again. Take care of
Nice to
yourself.
meet you.
Bye. Sadaka-san, do you have any special course for speaking? I do. I have IELTS courses, and I have correction service as well. So let me just share that with you here in the comments. Sadak, if you see the comment here, one-on-one corrections and IELTS courses, just click on that link and you'll see the services that I offer there. Ratul, sir, can I have a chance to speak with you? Absolutely, yep. I see you actually have joined already, Ratul, so you'll just need to turn on your camera and I'll be able to help you. Next up is Sandip. Let's get you in here. Hi there.
Hi, sir.
Nice to meet you. Where are you from, Sandip?
I'm from Nepal, sir.
Very nice. And what score are you aiming for?
I'm aiming for 8 band.
Okay. So again, we're focusing on part 1 today. So I'll just ask you a few part 1 questions and then we'll get a feel for what you're capable of. Okay. So Sandip, now I'm going to ask you some questions about games. What games are popular in your country?
Generally, in Nepal, there are a lot of sports activity which people prefer to play. Uh, Particularly football, volleyball, and cricket are few of them. I have found most of the adult being involved in football. And if we talk about females, they are more towards basketballs.
Do you play any games?
Yes, absolutely. I love to play football. Along with my friends, I was in school sports team as well. So I like to play football, and I have got few trainings and some courses related to football. So yes, I love to play sports, specifically football.
How do people learn to play games in your country?
Uh, in our country, basically, students in school are taught about basic rules and different kinds of trick and tips when they are at the school. Along with that, there are different training centers where people can go and learn from them. And I have also find few people are just learning sports on their own.
Do you think it's important for people to play games?
Absolutely, because it is one of the uh, greatest day-to-day activity that everyone must follow. If we play football or if we play any kind of physical sports, it will activate our metabolism inside our body, which will regulate different kind of circulatory system, muscular system, and all, which ultimately helps us to keep our body healthy.
Okay, good. Thanks, Sendip. Okay, so for you, you're going to have to do quite a bit of work to get a band aid.
Okay.
Have you done the test before?
No, yes, I have been in this
Okay,
live
so
session of yours.
you probably, but have you done the real test? Have you done the IELTS test yet?
No, sir.
I think like when before people do the IELTS test for the first time, they don't really understand how high a standard a band 8 is. Like a band 8 is very, very high. Like an average student in an English language school, wouldn't be anywhere near a band 8. Um, to hear a band 8 student speaking, it would be difficult to recognize if they're using their first language or their second language. So they would have mastered English to the same level as their first language. So just to give you an idea of how high a standard a band 8 is. um, so it will take you quite a bit of work to get there. I'm not trying to say that you won't get there. I'm just trying to help you have realistic expectations. For you at the moment, the main areas to work on would be with grammar. You make a lot of mistakes with articles and a lot of mistakes with plurals. In most sentences, you're making mistakes with articles and plurals. So those would be the areas of grammar to work on. I mean, your communication is very clear. You're very easy to understand. You're very comfortable speaking in English. So you do have a lot of strengths. But articles and plurals would be areas for you to improve. And then with pronunciation, the individual words you're generally pronouncing very clearly. But when it comes to sentence stress and intonation and rhythm, so the more like the areas of connected speech and intonation, those aren't as good as your ability to pronounce each word clearly. So those would be the areas for pronunciation to work on: sentence stress, intonation, things like that.
Okay, sir.
All right. Do you have any questions for me or anything? All
No, sir.
right. Well, nice to meet you again.
Thank
See
you,
you
sir.
next time. Bye, Sandip. Okay. Sadak, you're very welcome. Regard. I have a problem with my camera. Is it okay to speak? No, I won't be able to bring you on without the camera. For these, we would need a camera. Obviously, if I was working with you one-on-one, if you were to use my one-on-one practice speaking tests or to join my IELTS course, that wouldn't be an issue. But just for the live stream, we do need cameras. And here's Gaurav. Hey, Gaurav. Hey, Gaurav. You're muted there at the moment.
Hello, sir.
Nice to see you.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm fine, sir.
Excellent. Do you have any questions, or do you want to talk about anything before we start?
No, sir.
Okay. So let me just pull up some questions here. All right. Okay. Gaurav, now I'm going to ask you some questions about music. What types of music do you like to listen to?
Well, I love to listen pop music because it is very good. I love to listen it in my free time because at that time I can listen it with my family members. Also, pop music is very popular in my country, and sometimes I go to listen it in the live shows.
At what times of day do you like to listen to music?
In the evening time, I have quite a lot of time. At that time, I don't have any work to do, so that time I mostly prefer to listen music.
And did you learn to play a musical instrument when you were a child?
Absolutely, yes. In my early age, I used to play a violin. At that time, I used to take training of that instrument in my school. I am quite a, I am quite proficient in playing violin.
Do you think all children should learn to play a musical instrument?
No, I think it is not compulsory for everyone because some children do not have any interest in music. So it will be like any kind of force on them to force them for learning music.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Gaurav. So your answers are a little bit short today, which is unlike you. Um, Normally
I'm
your
sorry.
answers are better developed than that. Um, so I think there are occasions where I should have asked you why. I should have asked you to develop further. The examiner will normally ask you for more development when you give a short answer.
Okay.
So I don't think I did a good job in that regard. But just try to develop more by yourself. If the examiner is forcing you to speak more, that's also not a good sign. So just be careful with that.
Okay.
At the moment, I would say sentence stress. Sentence stress is the thing that would need
I'm
your
I'm
attention most.
I'm working on it, sir.
Good.
Like sentence address, I'm working on it,
Yeah.
and I think I
Because
will
it's
improve.
clear. I mean, in general, you're clear. I can understand you, but sentence stress would just mean it requires less effort from me. But I mean, more importantly, it would mean a higher pronunciation score. Your fluency in general is fine. You just need to develop your answers more. With
Okay.
vocab, you said in my early age. That's not a phrase that we would use. So just when I was young. Um,
Okay.
and then just a small little grammar thing. You said listen it instead of listen to it. So you were missing the to from listen to it. It's just a few small things, but definitely sentence stress would be the best thing for you to spend your time on.
Okay, sir. Sir, anything else instead of sentence address? Like,
No, no, because it's the main issue you have, so it makes sense to spend your time on the thing that will improve your score most. Yeah.
okay, sir.
So definitely that would be the main focus. All right,
Okay,
Gaurav.
sir.
See you
Thank you, sir.
tomorrow.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
Okay, just one moment there. Hi, so there. I got my results a couple of days ago. 7.5, 7.577, 7.5 overall, but you need 8.777. So you're just short on listening by half a band. That's very close. Generally with an EOR, listening doesn't go up very often. I have had students improve their scores on reading and listening, but it's rare. It's rare. And I would imagine now, like with computer-based test, it would be even less common because the answers are what the answers are. So I think you're going to have to do the test. Sorry to hear that. It's a real shame. Mavis, can I be tested too? Absolutely, Mavis, as long as I have time. So if you just scroll up to the top, the first, second, third comment, you'll see this here, link to join me live. You can just click on that. Okay, so next up I have Alva. Hi, Alva.
Hello, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Where are you from, Alva?
I am from Argentina.
Very good. Are you living there?
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm from Venezuela, but I've been living here for almost 5 years now.
Oh, nice. It's unusual for me to get students from that part of the world. It's got to be an unusual time of day for you right now.
Yeah, it's pretty early. It's
Yeah.
6:30.
Okay. Well, good to have you here. What score are you looking for, Alva?
I'm looking for a 7.
Okay. So, like with the other students, I'll just ask you a few questions and then I'll have some feedback for you.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you some questions about weekends. How do you usually spend your weekends?
Well, most weekends I spend it with playing with my family. I have a husband and my daughter, so normally we're going out to spend a day at a park, eating a picnic or playing some sport. And at night, probably we get out for dinner at a restaurant most of the times.
Which is your favorite part of the weekend?
Well, actually, my favorite part are the Sunday evening because it's the rest time, and so I can just lay out and watch a series or a movie, and it's just for resting for me, just preparing for starting the week quite fresh.
Do you think your weekends are long enough?
Yeah, because I actually get up pretty early, so I can take advantage of most of the time that I have. So I don't get sleep. I don't sleep until at the midday as much that people do because I'm normally get used to get up early. So for me, it's a really long day.
How important do you think it is to have free time at the weekends?
I think it's really important because most people work so hard during the week. So it's really important to have free time for just resting or doing some leisure activity that people enjoy. So it needs to be expended for relaxing and or spending time with their family or their loved ones. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Alva, you're going to have to do a few things to get that score. One thing is with fluency, you're answering your questions and you're developing them appropriately. Your ideas are clear and they make sense. But it seems like you need quite a bit of concentration
Yeah.
to come up with the words and to come up with the ideas. So fluency is something that you will fix by speaking English more often. So the more you speak in English, the easier it gets, and that's basically fluency. The more you speak, the better. So that would be one area. You're not far from a 7 in fluency. It's just that extra bit of effort that you need. You know, it just one part of a band 7 for fluency is without noticeable effort, which means that I cannot tell that you're trying hard. But at the moment, I can. I can see that you do need your full attention.
Yeah.
The other area then is pronunciation, and you tend to not pronounce every sound in every word. The letter T in particular for you. So when you're saying daughter, you don't make the T sound in that word. And when you're saying sport, you don't say the T sound in that word. When you say pretty, you don't say the T sound in that word. And also in the word hard, I know T and D, they're a similar sound. So you don't pronounce the D sound in hard. So it's kind of a consistent issue that you have with the letter T in the middle or at the end of the word, T and a D sound, that you tend not to pronounce it. And for a band 7, you're not going to, the examiner won't be ignoring those types of mistakes. So for a lower score, making those types of mistakes isn't an issue because it's still easy to understand you, but we need more accuracy for a band 7. So those would be the two areas I'd recommend that you work on at the moment.
Okay, I will do.
Do you have any questions for me at the moment?
No, sir. No.
Okay.
Really,
Well,
thank you.
nice to meet you, Elva.
Nice
Take
to
care.
meet you.
Bye.
Wow.
Okay. Imtiaz, thank you. Okay, so let's get the next student in here. Next up is Ratul.
Hello.
Hi, Ratul. 1 second now. Let me just see if I can get you in again. The camera seems to be frozen. I think there's an issue with your camera, Ratul. What I'll do is I'll come back to you in a minute. Herbert, let's get you in here for now. Hi, Herbert.
Hi.
How are
Nice to
you?
meet you, sir. I'm fine, sir.
You too. You too. Herbert, can you tell us what score you're aiming for?
I'm 7 and above.
Okay. All right. So Herbert, again, I'll just ask you some questions and then I'll have some feedback for you. Okay. So now I'm going to ask you some questions about bicycles. How popular are bicycles in your hometown?
Well, actually, I come from Nigeria, and the popularity of bicycle is more in the city, in the metropolitan areas like Lagos and Port Harcourt. But in the countryside, you scarcely see bicycles in Nigeria.
Why? Why?
Okay, sir. This is because mostly people use it as a means of commuting to work, and also it's popular in the city. But in the rural area, their means of transportation is through town services like buses and long vehicles like coaster cars and what have you.
And how often do you ride a bicycle?
Okay, personally, it's once in a while. During my salad day, I have a bicycle that I used to, whenever I'm going to school, I used to ride bicycle to school. But when I grew up, I gave up the habit. I now took boxes to wherever I'm going presently.
Do you think bicycles are suitable for all ages?
Well, I wouldn't completely concede to that. I believe that individual have their preference when it comes to mode of transportation. For the aged people, I believe their musculoskeletal system is degenerating, and they find it difficult riding a bicycle. But for the young one, they are active, so they tend to ride bicycle more often.
And what are the advantages of a bicycle compared to a car?
Well, just like I said earlier, I think it have a therapeutic effect because it helps one to keep fit and burn out calories. So it is healthy. But for a car is more of a sedentary, living a sedentary life because there's AC attached to the car, and it wouldn't do as well as bicycle would do. So overall, I can say that riding bicycle have more advantage when it comes to keeping fit than those cars.
Thank you. Okay, so at the moment, they're like after every about 3 or 4 words, you pause. You have like slight hesitations and pauses. it doesn't seem like you're pausing to think of ideas, and it doesn't seem like you're pausing to think of vocabulary. I think that's just the natural rhythm that you speak in. So you say a few words, and then you say another few words. So you tend to pause quite often like that. So for fluency, that's not that's not great. I think you're.
Oh no, okay. I didn't know that.
There will be a recording of this on my Facebook and YouTube. You can check it later. But that's just kind of that rhythm you have where you'll just say a few words and then pause and then another. So that would be, it's not good for your fluency. It's also not good for your pronunciation because you don't have the correct sentence stress and rhythm. So it's really affecting both of those areas. That would be the biggest thing for you to work on, is trying to speak in like if you're writing in English, where you would put a comma or where you would put a full stop. Those would be the places that you would most naturally pause before moving to the next bit. But you're kind of pausing, maybe 2 or 3 times within each section. So that would be the main thing. After that, with grammar, you would need to improve articles, plurals, and subject-verb agreement. So those 3 areas would need work: articles, plurals, and subject-verb agreement. They're the main grammar areas that you're making. And of course, you don't need to correct them 100%, but if you can fix them like 70, 80%, that will remove the vast majority of the mistakes that you're making. So just focusing on articles, plurals, and subject-verb agreement. Those would be the main things. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome. Do you have any questions for me about any of that or anything else, Herbert?
Not really. I think my greatest challenges is okay, let me just ask a question about speaking overall.
Sure.
My greatest challenges is based on speaking. Some people have pointed out the same thing, that I used to make tenses error. Just like you said, that I have to work on my agreement and subjects. I mean, for how long do you think I could be able to fix this?
Okay, so the first thing is you want to focus on one thing at a time. What most students will do is they'll try to fix plurals and articles and subject-verb agreement all at the same time, and that's too much it's too much for your brain. It's like trying to do 3 things at the same time, because you're not going to have enough focus on one thing to really fix it. How long will it take? I mean, it depends on how many hours you put into it every day, and it depends, do you focus on this or do you kind of get bored and start watching other YouTube videos about other stuff? Like how focused are you? But realistically, I've seen students improve like one grammar area significantly in, like a week and a half, 2 weeks per grammar area, depending on how complicated the grammar area is. Plurals, not that difficult, but the problem with plurals is all the uncountable nouns. So you kind of have to go back and relearn all of those. So that's where plurals will slow you down. With articles, there are a lot of different rules. So articles is the one area that takes the most time to improve. And then with subject-verb agreement, that's pretty straightforward. So realistically, I mean, you could be talking 6 to 8 weeks to fix all of those.
Okay, sir. Okay, Martin, sir, whenever I speak quickly or fast, I tend to make more mistakes than when I slow down. If I slow down and I can listen to myself, I doesn't make those mistakes. So I don't know what you will advise me.
But thing is, like, when you're trying to fix those mistakes, you will slow down. You slow down. So while you're trying to improve your use of articles, slow down, give yourself time to think. And, in the beginning, obviously, you'll be speaking very slowly, but after a while, you'll start to understand it better and you'll start to use it more accurately. It will take less time. So you start off very slowly, and then you get faster, and then eventually you're not even thinking about it anymore. And then you start the next grammar problem, and the same thing. You slow down, give yourself time, and over time you'll get faster. But that's why doing one at a time is important, because you need to slow down and you need to focus and you need to think about what you should say. So yeah, that makes complete sense, Herbert.
All right. Thank you
You're
so
very
much,
welcome.
sir. I
Talk to you
appreciate it.
again. Bye for now.
All right.
Okay, so I have here, Sudhir, any recommendation for improving listening? I can share a link with you here now. Just let me get it off my website, and I'll share a lesson on listening with you. Okay, Sudhir, so if you just look at the comments, it'll be the newest comment. It says IELTS listening lesson and a link to that lesson there. Thanks, Marima. Thank you very much. Ibrahim, hello, sir. I'm good, thank you. I want to ask some questions about English speaking. So that my question is, what is the easiest way to speak English fluently? So basically, fluency is from speaking English. If you meet somebody whose fluency is better than your fluency, the reason is that they have spoken English more than you have. And it's as simple as that. The more you speak English, the more fluent you get. The less time you need to think of your ideas, the less time you need to think of the vocabulary. So it's about how much time have you spent speaking in English. Obviously, if you spent a lot of time 2 years ago and you haven't done anything for 2 years, of course, it's going to deteriorate. But in general, somebody who has better fluency than you has spoken English more than you, and that's it. You don't need to actually have anybody listening to you. That's something that a lot of students misunderstand. Is they feel that they need a speaking partner. They need somebody to talk with, and absolutely that's it's much more enjoyable, but it's not necessary. It's, are you trying to think of the words and say them? Are you trying to think of the ideas and say them? So it's about the process of getting what you need from your brain and producing it. So nobody needs to listen to you. Obviously, if you have someone to talk to, do. But what's more important is that you practice speaking. Hi, Tajamal. Thank you very much. So you want to test? Absolutely. So just find that link at the start. It said link to join me live. It was a comment that I left at the start of this lesson. That was your first test. No problem. Okay, so there, no problem at all. Okay, so we still have a bit of time left. Let's get another student in. IELTS Sabin, let's get you in here. Hello there.
Hello, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, sir.
Where are you from?
I'm from Nepal.
Very good. Do you know Sandip from earlier? No?
No.
Okay. Okay. What? I know there's more than 2 people in Nepal. It's just I don't often get people from Nepal joining my live streams. So I thought maybe you guys were friends. What score do you need?
I need at least 6 band score.
Yeah, okay, no problem. So let me ask you a few questions here and I'll have some feedback for you. Okay, now I'm going to ask you some questions about food and cooking.
Okay.
What sorts of food do you like eating most?
I like to eat delicious foods like momos, chow and all that things. Those food that are more tastier, and I like them to eat most.
Who normally does the cooking in your home?
Earlier, I used to cook food at my home by myself, but nowadays my sisters are there and they cook food for me, and I only eat. And
And do you ever watch cookery programs on TV?
not all the time, but sometime I also like to watch those videos. They teach us to cook food very nicely, and to make my family happy, I watch those videos to learn.
And in general, do you prefer eating out or eating at home?
I like to eat out because out food are tastier than home food. But um, to think of health, I don't prefer to eat outside, and I would love to eat at home.
Okay. So, Subin, at the moment, the
Sabine,
main area for you to improve is going to be your vocabulary and your grammar. That's two areas. So the main areas. Um, for band six, your fluency is fine. You can answer the questions. You can communicate your ideas. Your answers might be a bit short, but for a band six, that's not a problem. For vocab, sometimes you find it difficult to express what you want to say accurately. So you know what you want to say, but you don't have the words to say it. So that's obviously an issue, and that for vocabulary is going to be a problem. Um, and then for grammar, it's just with basic grammar structures like the word order. So, for example, like I like them to eat most versus I like to eat them most. So you have all the words you need, but they're not in the correct position in the sentence. So both of those things are important. So those would be the areas for you to work on. I would even recommend like try reading more in English
okay,
because
sir.
word order, it's just something you'll get familiar with by seeing the language more often. So try to read more in English, and as you're reading, try to pick up more vocabulary. What a lot of IELTS students do when they're trying to improve their scores is they don't want to learn the easy words. They only want to learn the difficult, complicated words. But that, you need to start. You need to start with the basics. So, don't try to learn vocab that you think is impressive. Try to learn the simple, easy, basic, standard vocabulary, and that will help you communicate more clearly. And especially for a band six, that's all you need.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
You're very
Thank you
welcome.
for giving me
Yeah.
opportunity.
Oh yeah, no problem. Nice to meet you. Take
Nice to
care.
meet you.
Bye for now. Okay. Sudhir says momos or dumplings. I know I've been to Nepal. I went crazy for momos when there's a few of my friends and I went to Nepal. It was a long time ago, but when we went back to where we were living, yeah, there was a lot of talks of how much we missed momos and where could we find them and was it possible to get them where we were. Yeah, momos, something special for sure. Hello, IELTS student. How can I get a 7.5 in speaking? My speaking is 6. Okay, so consider this. Let's say this is your situation. Your fluency is 6, your vocab is 6, your grammar is 6, and your pronunciation is 6, and that's why you got a 6. So without trying to sound smart, but the solution is improve your fluency to, let's say this, improve your fluency to an 8, improve your vocab to an 8, improve your grammar to a 7, improve your pronunciation to a 7. So you need to improve all of them a lot, and you need to improve 2 of them even more. So and the other thing then is where a lot of students get confused is they think they can just improve their speaking, and there's something you can do that improves your speaking, like your whole everything, but it's not like that. You have to work on each skill individually. So you might say, you'll spend 1 hour working on fluency, 1 hour working on vocab, 1 hour working on grammar, 1 hour working on pronunciation. So you have to do them separately. You can't, there's nothing you can do that just improves everything. So keep that in mind and spend time working on each of those. So what's the difference between a band 6 for vocab and a band 7? Band 7 is more range and more accuracy. Generally, like a band 7 will be able to describe something in a smaller number of words than a band 6. And then it's, like if you're talking about a topic, like, if you're talking about the environment, do you have words to talk like, can you talk about climate change? Can you talk about carbon emissions? Can you talk about, people's, what's that called? Your carbon footprint? Like, do you have specific words to talk about those topics? And if you do, well, that's what gets you a band 7. Whereas with a band 6, it's just the vocab that kind of everybody knows that you can use for every topic to communicate, and generally communicate very clearly. But a band 7 is where, regardless of what topic comes up, you will have vocabulary specific to that topic. How does an examiner judge student pronunciation, cohesion, grammar? Which part is first I try to improve? I would generally start with whatever area you're weakest with. Whichever area you feel least comfortable with would be the area to start with, because that's going to take most time. That and vocab. Vocab takes a long time, because with the other areas, it's a skill. Once you figure it out, you can do it. But with vocab, it's not about figuring it out. It's about just learning every word one at a time, more, and then remembering them and knowing how to use them accurately. So vocab definitely takes more time than the other areas. So start with vocab and your weakest area. And how does the examiner judge? Well, you can see the band descriptors. If you just search for, speaking band descriptors, IELTS speaking band descriptors, you'll see exactly the requirements that the examiner is looking for. Gaurav, very welcome. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for today. I have a few students here, but their cameras don't seem to be working. So I think we're just going to have to leave it at that. So yeah, that's it. If anybody has any other questions. Well, it doesn't seem to be the case. Okay, so let's finish up there. Like I said, I have live feedback lesson tomorrow. So those are my free lessons on Zoom, my free group classes on Zoom. You'll find the link to join those in the video description. And if not, I'll be back next week with another live stream focusing on another aspect of the IELTS test. Okay, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye for now, and see you next time.